Hello students, let's understand this wonderful chapter, that is metals and non-metals. Children, in this chapter we will be discussing about the physical and chemical properties of metals and non-metals. Further, we will be able to identify which elements are categorized as metals, which are categorized as non-metals. Also, we will study about the metallurgy and extraction processes of these metals. So, let's begin with the chapter. So now, as you can see these images, please look at the images very carefully. What do you observe? So this is jewelry, right? A beautiful lustrous jewelry we have. And what about this? What is this? Children, this is foil. Then these are fences I have mentioned. And what is this? A wire. So what is common in all of these? And what are the constituents of these images? So these substances, children, they are metals. Yes. Why I am saying they are metals? Let's think about what is this jewelry made up of. So children, this jewelry is made up of, any idea? Yes, it is made up of gold. So let's write, this is gold. And by any chance, do you know the symbol of gold? Yes, the symbol of gold is AU. Yes, this is how we write A caps U small. So this is golden jewelry and it contains or constitutes gold as the element, right? What about this? What is this? This is a foil. The foil paper is usually consist of aluminium, right? So isn't it aluminium? So this is aluminium foil. Do you use this aluminium foil at home? Yes. For what purpose? For wrapping chapati, right? So this aluminium foil is very important in our daily life. And see, the symbol is AL, A capital, L small. Now what is this made up of? These are fences. So these rods or bars are made up of iron. Yes, iron is also a metal. And what is the symbol of iron, children? The symbol of iron is Fe. Now what about wire? Have you seen wire in your house? I'm sure you have seen wires in your house. And these wires are usually made up of copper or aluminium. So as you can see the color here, the color is reddish brown. So definitely it's a copper wire. And what is the symbol of copper? It is Cu. So why I am showing you these images? Because I want you to ponder over that these are metals and see, they are so much useful in our daily life, right? So metals are used for making jewelry, for making foil papers or wrapping papers, for making bridges, buildings, construction material. Then it is also used for making wires, for electricity transmission, right? Do we make utensils? Yes. Even school bells we have, even the orchestra apparatus we have. There are a lot of metals we have everywhere. Now, do we have non-metals also? Do we use non-metals in our daily life? Let's look at the another images. Now, when you look at these images, look at the first picture. What is this? Definitely these are tires, right? So, what is the use of tires? Oh, is it a question really? Tires are used in the vehicles, right? So, what is this tire consist of? One of the main component of tire is carbon. Yes, it contains carbon. And now, what is the symbol of carbon, children? The symbol of carbon is capital C. Yes. Now, what are these? These two different types of stones? Actually, children, carbon has different forms and those different forms are known as allotropes. Yes, what is the name I am saying? The name is, the term I am talking about is allotropes. This is the spelling. Learn the correct spelling. So, children, what are allotropes? Allotropes are different forms of same element. So, if I am talking about carbon, carbon has mainly two different forms, though it has more different forms, but mainly two are most common, and those two forms are graphite and diamond. Graphite and diamond. So, what do you think, guys? Out of graphite and diamond, which one is graphite and which one is diamond? It is very easy, right? Such a easy question it is. So, diamond is this, right? It has a shining lustrous appearance, and graphite, see how much black is it? right? It has a chorus structure. Now, what about this? What other things do we use in our daily life? So, plants and animals, they depend on oxygen and carbon dioxide, isn't it? So, plants need carbon dioxide and oxygen both. How? Plants do photosynthesis and they need carbon dioxide and water. And why do they need oxygen? Definitely, oxygen is needed for respiration. Do we need oxygen? Children, do you think do we need oxygen? Yes, we also need oxygen for breathing in, right? And we release carbon dioxide. So, we do respiration. And what is the purpose of respiration? Why do we do respiration? In order to convert glucose or the food in energy. So, we eat food to have energy, right? And for that, oxygen is really very important. So, children, plants also need carbon dioxide and also they release oxygen for us, so that we can also breathe in the oxygen and we can also survive. So, what do you think? What is the other constituent of air which is important for plants? There is one more, and the major constituent of air, which is nitrogen. Yes, so plants need nitrogen as well. How plants require nitrogen? How is it absorbed in the plant's body? It is very easy, children. If you have heard about nitrogen cycle, so during nitrogen cycle, the nitrogen is absorbed in the soil in the form of nitrates and nitrites, and that is taken by the plants and absorbed by the plants from the soil. So, nitrogen is also very important. Now, why I am talking about carbon, nitrogen, oxygen and then water. Water has hydrogen and oxygen. So, why I am talking about these elements? Because children, these elements, carbon, nitrogen, oxygen and hydrogen and other elements, they are non-metals. Yes, so they are non-metals. So, children, do you think non-metals are also important for us? Definitely yes. They are used for various purposes and most of them exist in gaseous state and we directly use them for our existence. So, now as we have understood that why are we reading this chapter, because metals and non-metals, they play very important role in our everyday life. So, now the question arises, how do we find that this is a metal and this is a non-metal, right? So, in order to understand the properties of metals and non-metals, first of all, let's see that, do you know that we have 118 elements? Yes, we have lot of elements in our daily life. So, this particular table in which I am showing you the metals and non-metals and the other elements, the 118 elements, this table is known as periodic table. Yes. So, what is the name, children? This table which has lot of elements, this table is known as periodic table of elements. So, do you see these are elements? Do you know any element out of these? I am sure you are aware of carbon, you are aware of nitrogen, oxygen, fluorine, helium, neon, argon, chlorine. I am sure you are aware of hydrogen, lithium, beryllium, boron, sodium, magnesium, potassium, calcium. Do you know copper? Do you know zinc? I am sure you are aware of multiple elements we have. So, children, these elements are 118 and out of these approximately 92 elements are metals. Yes. So, if you look at this periodic table, this zigzag line, this is metalloids. We will discuss what are metalloids, and before metalloids are all metals. So, these all are metals to the left hand side of the table and only these are non-metals. And hydrogen is also a non-metal, children. And you know, these are, though we are saying they are non-metals, but actually they are noble gases. What are noble gases? Those gases which do not react, right? And we will do the details. How do we decide which one is metal, non-metal? On the basis of electronic configuration. But now we will be studying about the properties and we will understand the classification of the elements. So, children, how many elements do we have? We have 118 elements known to us, out of which, see, this is metalloid list, and before metalloid list we have metals and we have 92 metals out of 118 elements. Rest of them are metalloids and non-metals and noble gases. So, how do we classify elements? So, what is the main use of these metals or elements? So, mainly you have seen copper wires, right, and copper vessels. So, copper was the first metal to be used for making utensils and for making weapons and for other works. So, copper was the first metal that we started using as humans, and why? For making utensils, for making weapons and for other purposes. So, metals are employed for the construction of bridges, airplanes, automobiles, ships, trains, buildings, utensils, and there is lot of everyday uses we have in the list. Then non-metals like oxygen and nitrogen, they are the main constituents of air. How much nitrogen is there in air? It is 78%. And how much oxygen do we have in air? It is 31%, right? So, we have a huge list of metals and non-metals, and we will be studying their properties gradually, one by one. So, now children, when we talk about the classification of elements, so children, elements are classified on the basis of their physical properties, and on the basis of physical properties, we can list elements as metals. They are classified as non-metals. And what is the another classification, children? And we have metalloids. Yes. So, we will be studying these metals, non-metals, metalloids in details. Children, there is one more type of elements which many times are considered in non-metals only, but still we should not consider them as non-metal, rather we should call them separately. So, I am categorizing one more name here, which is noble gases. Yes, noble gases are different than non-metals. Noble gases are non-reactive gases, they have complete octet, right? So, these elements we have to study one by one. We will understand their physical properties and then chemical properties in details. So, let's proceed in details. Thank you.